Hello, everybody. I'm Dane Gentry. This is Standing Back Up podcast. Excuse me. Today, I got a special guest, the comedian, very funny KillerBeaz. How you doing, man?
Hey, Dane, I'm doing great, man. It's good talking to you, brother.
You as well, man. Nice to meet you. Um, so, man, where did you grow up at, and how'd you get into comedy?
I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, and everybody asked me, man, how'd you get started? Well, I did that by not doing my homework when I was growing up.
Okay.
So, but I'll say this, man, I've been funny since I was a little baby. And so this is a true story, Dane. Way back when I was a toddler, this is my earliest memories. When I was a toddler, I lived in a funeral home in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, and my dad was an embalmer and a funeral director. So I had the run of the place as this little kid. This is like during the 50s. And so I remember, dude, that I saw all these sad people coming and going from where I lived. I had no concept of um, funerals or any of that kind of stuff. But way back then, man, I remembered that I could do cute little silly stuff, and the crying people would stop crying and come over and talk to me and smile.
No
And I
kidding.
think literally, I think that has fueled my compulsion my entire life to make people laugh and smile. So as far back as I can remember, I've been funny and I've tried to be funny. I like being around people that smile and grin. I'm not
Yeah,
as
man.
good around stoic people, because I'm
Yep.
afraid there's something wrong. And
Yeah.
I like to see happy. I think we should all get up every day and at least act like we're happy that God gave us another day, and just get that attitude going. At least until 10:30 or 11 when we realize it's going to suck like
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. No kidding.
So I've been funny growing up, wittiest in high school, this and that kind of stuff. Um, and so way back in 1982, I was working in a guitar store in Jackson, Mississippi, selling guitars, doing repairs and stuff like that, and playing blues on weekends. And
Okay.
so my last name is Beasley, and people call me Bees. You know how they'll do your last name?
Mm-hmm.
They call me Bees, and I'd run out in front of whatever little band and do my guitar thing. And the people that knew me, Dane, would go, "That was Killer Bees." And the
Okay.
people that didn't know me thought they were saying that was Killer Bees on guitar.
Right.
So when I started doing stand up back in '82, I just used that stage name, Killer Bees, Best Buzz in Town. And the way it came about, I was in Mississippi. There were no comedy clubs, dude, in the entire state. It was one of those things that everybody had told me my whole life, dude, you need to be a comedian, but it wasn't something that was available to me. You know what I
Right.
mean? They
Mm-hmm.
didn't have that where I lived. So anyway, I was playing guitar on weekends and working at a music store, and the house band from a highfalutin fancy schmancy nightclub came in and said, "Dude, Kenny, the guy that ran the place, wants a comedian. You should do it." So I went over and booked a gig and did a Friday and a Saturday. Did 20 minutes each
Okay.
set. I had no material. I did Man, I had no idea what I was doing. I did stuff off of Steve Martin albums and Richard Pryor albums. I built some props because I was a Gallagher fan.
Right.
And so I was terrible at it because I didn't know the mechanics of being on stage.
Right.
And the cool thing about it, dude, I will always be grateful is I had the savvy, I guess, to realize that it was all about me learning the mechanics of doing it on stage because that's hard to do, when you're hanging out with your buddies, just
You're right.
goofing off, chilling, it's easy to be funny and to bring the house down. But when people have spent their evening getting ready to come to your show and they bought tickets and got babysitters and so forth and so on, man, there's pressure there. So
Man.
there's lots of teeny little details that you need to keep in mind when you're doing stand up. Spoken word, Nate, I'm going to tell you, buddy, spoken word is got to be the toughest art form.
I agree with you, man. I'm on a path of speaking. That's what I'm headed to, motivational speaking. Because of my background, what I've come through, and I practice in the mirror sometimes, but then I'll think about it, man. Just being in front of a crowd. So I've done a little bit like in a meeting or something like that, and I'm gonna tell you, I couldn't imagine being there in front of 1,000 people doing it. But I hope to get there. But
Yeah, man. Well, I'll say this. I will say this. We can practice in the mirror. We can recite our stuff and try to get it in our memory good, but there's no way to practice doing it until you're under duress. You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
When you're up in front of those people, you have to address, dude, your breath control gets jacked up. Your motor skills, because you're just
yeah,
nervous. You're under duress, and you have to do it under duress. And that's the sucky part. That's how it weeds you out.
right,
That right there, buddy. All the new comics always ask, dude, what does it take, Bees? And I go, it takes getting your heart broken 1,000 times.
yeah,
You have to go up and learn the mistakes in real time in that real environment.
right,
And so you got to build scar tissue.
man.
And literally that's the thing, man, because we think that what we're going to say when you're trying to motivate people, wanting them to change their life for the better and want them to know that yes, they're worthy of success, you've got to wordsmith it so
Yeah,
that it really means stuff to them. So it's a very fragile art form. Any
yeah,
kind of spoken word, dude, is a fragile art form. It
yeah.
just takes a long time to get it honed down.
The failing the part of failure, I guess, like with you, you're out there and you're expecting laughter, and so when you don't get it, I'm sure that would be like, man, when if you feel like you're not doing so good, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah,
Because like you said, because people have paid to come there, so I'm sure that's different. But like the first time when you said you did those little 20-minute deals, how did they go? Did the crowd welcome you, or was it?
the crowd welcomed me, but I wasn't very good. A
Yeah,
lot of blue material. I had no idea what
yeah,
to do, but it was kind of cool because I kept that KillerBeaz stage name, and all these years later, that has served me so well, um, Dane, because people remember it.
yeah. I
you know,
remember.
I s- yeah, I see folks all the time do that. Man, we saw a comedian. We went to so and so, saw this comic. He was great, dude. He crushed. I'm like, well, who was it? Because I probably know him,
Yeah,
and I don't know, can't remember their name.
right,
That's the dude. They've got to remember you, and it wasn't by design. I didn't even know that was such a thing
right.
back in the day. But I guess another one of those blessings God gave me that I didn't know He was doing,
Yeah,
and so we kept that stage name, and man, it has served me really well. People remember it, and so for longevity, I'm in my 42nd year
wow.
of doing stand up. It's been my life's work, and
Wow.
so it's really cool to still be able to go out and make a living doing it.
Yeah.
So a lot of blessings involved, man.
Yeah, my wife saw you years ago at Zany's. We were talking about that whenever I sent you the message the first time about coming on or whatever. She was like,
Yeah,
"Oh," she was super excited. She's like, "I saw him at Zany's. I've never saw you. I remember you hearing your name, like you said, and then I got reintroduced to you again from the TV show Moonshiners, of course, because
oh,
uh,
gotcha, man.
that
And
was uh, that was my show when I was in prison, man. That was the show I look forward to was that show and all them guys on there. I'm from Tennessee, so uh, I can relate to those kind of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, that is so much fun doing that show. I talk about it in my act, as a
Yeah, I
matter
saw
of
I
fact.
saw one thing you did, and you was talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I've widened that segment out, as a matter of fact, because people love it. Man, I got to tell you too, I would have never dreamed that I would have actually um, been taught to make freaking moonshine.
yeah,
That's a foreign thing, as well. But man, Mark and Digger and JB Raider
yeah.
and also Kelly Williamson. He's a good buddy too. But those cats have actually taken me and taught me step by step everything from grinding the corn to mashing in to doing the run. I mean, it is and tempering it down. It is really amazing to me that I have that skill. I
Right.
mean, there's so much chemistry and physics,
It
Dane,
is.
involved in and I quote, the covert distillation of non-taxable artisan spirits in a non-disclosed location. There's
Golly. Yeah.
there is so much chemistry and physics involved in that, and that's something that kind of piqued my interest about it. So I'm semi-sciencey, if
Right.
you will, and so that kind of stuff really intrigues me. Really, it was fun to me, just all the different stuff we do. And we've got some stuff coming up this season that's in the can that is real brainiac stuff. I team up with Amanda Bryant. You've watched the show. You've seen
Uh-huh.
Amanda,
I know, Brent.
Amanda
Yep.
and Joe and JJ Jackson. I pulled them in and we do a special, really, really scienced out project that turned out real good.
No kidding.
So yeah, man, it's a hoot getting to do that. And everywhere I go, and let me say this real quick, y'all, quit asking for moonshine on Facebook.
Oh God.
And,
I could imagine. I just got through
bless
watch.
y'all.
I
Yeah,
just got
bless
through
y'all's
what
hearts.
yeah. I just got through. I saw the little clip you and Jelly Roll. I'm a big fan of his. I just saw the little
Oh
one you
yeah.
did
Now
backstage at
that
the Grand Opry. Yeah.
Yeah, now see, there's another blessing, man. I've got 18 Grand Ole Opry appearances under my
Wow.
belt, and 2 of them have been with Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
And so that is a sweetheart of a guy, dude. I tried to get him on Moonshiners. I was trying to get with him and do a moonshine run with him, but
Yeah.
man,
That
this
would
schedule.
be interesting. That would be a good one
Oh yeah,
if he
man.
would do it.
We have good rapport together. You saw from that thing in the dressing room, man. We bounce off each other well. But
Yeah.
uh what a great entertainer he is, and what a great gift to me to get to hobnob with people like that. I went out and did shows years and years ago with the Leonard Skinner band.
No kidding.
And so yeah, no kidding, man. So I've had dude just a crazy, crazy blessed career
Yeah, I
in
could
spite of
imagine.
myself.
I could imagine, with me, like that's what I want to do. I want to meet people, but I like meeting godly people. And you've mentioned God a few times. I like that.
Yeah.
That's huge to me. Because that's you. God is huge in my life. I mean, that's what turned everything around for me. But that's what my
Same
plan is.
here.
I want to meet people, man. You know what I mean? I lived in Nashville all my life, and I never got to meet anybody. You think I would, being here my whole life, but I was always on
Right.
drugs. I was on drugs, man, and I didn't.
Gotcha.
That's the only thing my focus was on. I got in trouble. So that's my plan now, to meet interesting people. And, I've had the
And
people
live life like God wants you to live it, man.
that's what,
He wants you to get out and see the cool stuff and to go, whoa, and have your jaw on the ground,
without a
you
doubt.
know.
And he,
Well, we just gotta do right.
we just got to do right, man. And that's it. That's what people ask me all the time, uh, how do you do it? I do it. That's how I do it. You got to
Yep.
stop telling yourself that you can't. Because every time you tell yourself you can't, you're setting yourself back again. Because you got to stop saying that, man. Because you can.
Right.
Everybody can. Everybody can get sober, and just like me, I talk about moonshine and all that stuff. I'm not against nobody drinking. I'm not against anybody doing any of that, because I just don't do it. I don't take the
Correct. Same here, man.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't drink either.
yeah,
And so but and I had to stop drinking because I was not a responsible drinker.
yeah, and you knew, and so you picked up on that. And see, when I was young, I quit taking pills. The girl I was with at the time, we were having a baby, and I was fixing to go to prison. It's one of the smartest things I ever did, of course, fixing to have a baby and go to prison. But anyway, I started drinking, and immediately I became alcoholic. And so I knew, and I never would drink. It was the opiate things, man, that kept getting me. And it about took me out the last time. And I said, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to do whatever I got to do. And the main thing I did was hit my knees and pray to God. And I said, I know you got something more for me, man. I know this ain't what my life's supposed to be. And here we are.
And you're right. And that's where our power comes from, man. And you said it a minute ago, let's don't speak negative.
Mm-mm.
Don't give life. The Bible tells us, dude, our mouth is the most powerful weapon in the world.
Without a doubt.
And the Bible is all about the spoken word. God said, let there be light.
That's right. That's right.
So it's on us, and the enemy, whether it's Satan, whatever you want to call it, is the one that's in our head that makes us want to not try. The one that tells us, dude, you're a fool. You are not worthy of doing. You're not worthy of reaching, and that's the lie, that we have the ability to change. That's the coolest part about it, Dane. is that that we change our mind, we
There you
change
go.
the way we think, and it's easy. All you got to do is do it.
Do it, man.
You got to. I want to write a book that says how I learned to give up and win. To quit trying to do it just my way and to rely on Him, and just blessings, dude. So
Surrender, man.
and it's so much easier than you would think. It is so much more fun than you would think. I stayed away from the church. I was out there being killer freaking bees, dude. I was wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, that's not the life. There's not peace there. That's one thing I have going for me these days. My wife and I both, we're at peace.
Isn't it awesome? Isn't it
Yeah,
awesome, though? Yes.
that's a big deal. I used to lay in bed and worry about gigs, about bookings, yada yada yada, and you can get rid of that worry. It's all about trust, and it's about walking and working in faith.
That's it. That's
Man,
faith, man.
God's got gifts for us.
Don't he though? And that's the thing. It's the faith, and that's what people don't understand. It all begins with faith. So I don't understand why people want to call it being positive energy, and it is energy. Don't get me wrong, but it's faith. At the end of the day, you can word it however you want to word it, but we're having faith, and that's what I did.
Correct.
I surrendered my life. I kept hearing the word surrender. I was going to a visitation actually, and I was coming back from it, and I kept at the time, this is when I was really getting close to God, and I kept hearing surrender. And I said to my wife, I said, I keep hearing surrender. I don't understand what he's meaning. She's like, Dane, you're a very smart man. What do you mean you don't understand what he's saying? You know what I mean? And so, she's been a huge blessing in my life for sure. She should have been gone a long time ago, but she used to always tell me, I see more in you. And I started believing in myself. And we were talking
There
about
you
this
go.
morning. And I said, sometimes I feel like uh, I'm like a nobody, basically. And she's like, you're somebody, you're just like anybody else. Everybody had to start somewhere, man. And here we are. And I believed in it, and I manifested. I think manifestation's huge, which is faith
Yep.
also. You just refuse. Like if you ask someone, whether they're a country music singer or actor, most of them will tell you from the time they were a kid, you could not tell them they wasn't going to be that. And that's what they were going to be. And it happened.
Right.
And that's the
Right,
same thing. That's
man.
kind of the same thing. You're standing on faith. How did moonshiners come about for you? How did you end up with the moonshiners?
Dude, that's a fun story. 100 years ago,
Okay.
okay, you were 6 years old. I
Hmm.
was gigging at Zany's, and at that particular week, they were keeping me at what was then called Opryland Hotel, the big Gaylord
Yep.
property.
Hmm.
And so at about 2 o'clock in the morning or some odd hour, I was on an elevator, the only one on this elevator, and the door opens, and Digger uh, comes walking in with a luggage cart full of cardboard boxes full of jars. And so we immediately hit it off in the elevator and hung out and palled around for a little bit. And now, fast forward a quarter century, I was doing a concert in Bristol, Tennessee, and I got a hit on my Twitter feed.
Hmm.
Bees, it's Mark and Digger from Moonshiners. Saw you 20 years ago at Zany's in Nashville. We're big fans. You're in our neck of the woods. Come see us. So um, I was in Bristol, and it's on the way back and forth. My wife and I had driven up there. I'm married to my agent. So
Okay.
we own the company that books me. We own the publishing and all that. So we're a little mom and pop operation, and we're killing it.
Yeah.
So anyway, man, corporate. That's what we call my wife. Her name's Terry, but her nickname is Corporate. There's people like, Bees, you want to go do so? I got to chat with corporate. So
Yeah.
anyway, so corporate and I are in Bristol gigging. And so we get this message from Mark and Digger. And I had seen the show and it hadn't really thought much about it other than, man, look at, I know that guy. They're on the show. So anyway, we drive over and to the Pigeon Forge area and meet with Digger and hang out with him and just hit it off like that. I grew up in a funeral home. I've been an apprentice embalmer. Digger's family was in the funeral business, hence his name. And we're both kind of retarded. And so we hit it off real well, and we're sitting there eating dinner together. And he looks at me, he goes, man, you need to let me teach you how to make moonshine. And I was so proud of myself. I didn't say the words I thought, but in my head I went, you need to get me on that freaking show.
Right. Right.
Right? You know,
Right.
Discovery Channel, that's international TV, man. We get
Yeah.
fan mail from Germany and Australia and all that stuff. Anyway, so he goes, man, yeah, you need to come up here, let us teach you to make moonshine. I kept my mouth shut. We got in the car, dude, coming home, and I'm pitching it to corporate.
Right.
Honey, I need to be on that show. And she's like, oh my God, you and moonshine, that's all I need. So I mean, but dude, I was doing like the world's greatest sales pitch. Everybody in the world would have been so proud of me, honey. And you know, my
Right.
demographics, dude, I was rolling. So finally, she saw the potential in it, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So we took off the entire week of June that year because one thing, we don't gig a lot in June because it's hard to get people off the lake or off the river or
Right.
off the ball field, you know.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so I took off tour for that whole month and went up to Newport, Tennessee, and stayed in Digger's cabin that's in the mountain on this trout stream. And so while I was staying in that cabin, he and JB Raider came over and we mashed in peaches.
Hmm.
And so during that month, we ran peach moonshine, cranberry moonshine, and straight corn liquor. And during that month, we also malted some corn. Digger taught me how to do that during this first month with them. So anyway, while I was there, man, they were getting ready for the new season of Moonshiners. I think it was like season 4, maybe
Yeah.
something like that. But they are talking to New York. They had cell service out in the woods, and New York was they were hinting around that they would kind of like me on the show, and New York was balking. We don't need that guy. He's not a moonshiner. Yada yada. So we're out there, and I can hear their conversations. And New York was complaining because nobody was making big money. There were no huge money deals. You know, somebody
Right.
drives up on a tractor and gets 2 gallons. You
Yeah.
know, they're like, man, there aren't any money deals. So I heard that, and that's when the light bulb went off for me because I know so many people in Nashville. Man, I was with Warner Brothers, I was with
Right.
Columbia, you know, Sony, all this stuff, man. And so I got to scheming because I know so many people. So I called my friend, the guitar player Ed King, who co-wrote Sweet Home Alabama when he was in Leonard Skinner.
Okay.
And so I called Ed and I go, hey, Ed, I go, Beaz, how you doing? I'm doing great, man. I go, Ed, I need a favor. Sure. And I go, it'll help my career. And he goes, anything. So I go, well, I need you to buy $30,000 worth of moonshine in your home on camera. he's,
Wow.
he's like, he's like, let me call you back.
Yeah.
So so we stayed in touch over the next week, talking back and forth about it. And he was kind of digging it. He was digging the idea because at one point he goes, well, man, he goes, I don't know. And I go, look, we can pixel your face out. You
Yeah.
know, he goes, oh, well, yeah, okay, well, that'd probably be cool. But then the next day in a conversation, he goes, well, maybe I could reach over to grab something and it show my face.
Okay. He was
And when
trying.
he
Yeah.
said that, I'm like, oh, there's a nibble right there.
Got him.
So the next conversation, he goes, man, he goes, I want to do it. And then he drops the bomb. He goes, you've got to talk to Sharon. That's
Mm.
his wife. She's the
Uh-oh.
gatekeeper, just like corporate's the gatekeeper. He had to go through corporate to get to me. Same thing with her. And there was the pucker factor. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to pitch it to her.
Yeah.
But talked to her and we kicked it around and kicked it around. And they went, you know what, we'll do that, man. It'll be cool. We made some arrangements. So anyway, so I called Dick. I go, look, dude, if they'll put me on the show, I'll bring the Skinner guy in. And he goes, all right, let me call you back. So we sent a text to the executive producer, which, by the way, every time I was with Digger and he would send a text, it'd be a day or two before he would even get a response.
Right. Yeah.
Um, they're corporate in New York. So, but
Yeah.
anyway, Digger sent a text and he said 10 seconds later the phone rings. What's this? Yeah, if you bring Beaz on, he's got to hook up with the Skinner guy. and they go done.
Done
So
that easy.
that's
Yeah.
how it happened, just like that, man.
I remember
Just
the
like
episode you're talking about too. I remember it. I remember
that's
the
right.
whole,
We
yeah.
delivered it to Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar.
Yep.
And Stacy Mitchhart, the award-winning blues guitar player, was actually my little go-between. He got to come out and tell him where to put it and where to park and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of cool.
How many seasons have you been on now?
8. This is number 8 for
Number
me.
8. Yeah.
Right. And this has been a tough season. We're way short on our episodes. They're having to do a bunch of filler episodes and stuff. I was gone the first half of filming. And so
Mm,
I wasn't even I got one episode the whole first half because I've been out on the road. The we've had people injured. There's been some dynamics here. Discovery Channel was purchased by Max, a bigger conglomerate. So they have HBO and all that stuff. So the production company that films us suddenly had brand new bosses they didn't know. Okay,
uh,
so that caused some stutter steps getting started, and now Digger has leukemia, and then I've known it for a couple of years, and so they only released the information just the other day. But anyway, so he can't film as much.
yeah.
His fatigue level is up there, and so we've had that to deal with, and then we've got major players in the show hurt. Digger's a major guy, and I will say this real quick: he has the leukemia that they say is the one you want to have. There's two versions. He has the lesser deadly version.
Well,
So
that's good news for
correct.
sure.
So he just
Yeah.
takes medicine and stuff, but it's a pain to it. Makes him feel bad and stuff. But also Josh Owens, one of the
Mm-hmm.
characters from day one, got broke all to pieces in a motorcycle race at a track in Daytona. Broke both legs and his shoulder. I mean, just messed him up. And then Craig Landry. There's two brothers from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Richard and Craig Landry.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, the little brother, wrecked his freaking electric unicycle doing 32 miles an hour down a
Daggone.
paved street in Louisiana, and it pitched him forward onto his face, broke every bone in his face. Dane broke both eye
God.
sockets, his cheeks, his chin, tore his nose away from his skull. I
Oh
mean,
my
it was
God.
he went for a little while. He was blind because of all the swelling in his head that was pressing on his optic nerves.
God.
So he got hurt bad. And he was telling me the other day, he goes, dude, he goes, Beaz, he goes, I don't even he goes, I didn't even have time to put my hands down. And he says, I know that because when I came to the hospital, the backs of his hands were scraped up where they had
So
just
he
drug them. They're like,
drug,
oh my God. So
and that's
so
something
we've been
people
dealing.
people don't think about that. Them little scooters like that, man. How fast your life can change that
Yeah,
fast.
yeah, and a unicycle. Oh my,
Yeah.
I had no idea there were unicycles that could go 32 miles an hour.
Oh, a unicycle. I didn't catch that part. Okay, a unicycle.
Freaking unicycle.
Ain't no way I'd be on a unicycle doing no
Dude,
30 mile an hour. I'm not gonna ride one no way, much less than 30 mile an
yeah,
hour.
yeah, no lie, dude. I wouldn't ride one in a ball pit.
No, I've made it too much through too much now to try things like that. I was gonna jump out of an airplane, and Beth said, "Ain't no way." She said, you done made it through all this stuff. Ain't losing none of that. We ain't jumping out of no good airplanes. You're not doing that. So
I
that's off
did I
the
did
table.
hang gliding. I've been
Yeah.
hang gliding. I did that. I did indoor skydiving. Have you seen that? They have
Uh-uh.
wind tunnels that
Oh
shoot
yeah.
straight up in the air. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty fun.
Yeah. I might try that. I've always kind of. There's a lot of people that get sober jump out of planes for whatever reason. I think they're
Right.
adrenaline junkies. Maybe I'm not really an adrenaline
Possibly.
junkie. I'm not really an adrenaline junkie, really, man. I'm just a what I am today. I think is I won't. This is what I said when I got sober. I said, if I was to die today, nobody'd have a whole lot of good things to say about me. And that's what my goal in life is to change everything to where when I do pass, I'll finally have somebody have something good to say about me. Because I
Right.
live
I get it, man.
I
I
wanted to
get
tell
it.
you, I wanted to tell you about moonshine on the inside. They make it on the inside too. They take just trash bags basically, and put your whatever fruit you come up with, or
Whatever
jelly, or
botanicals.
whatever you can come up with, sugar. And so you put in there and let it turn to wine, of course. But then you just take like some hot plates and put it in there and boil it. But you have a trash bag hooked to a hose on the other end, and so the steam, as you know, comes out and turns to alcohol. Really,
Gotcha.
the only difference is that, well, for one, you're using God knows what to put in it, but the other thing is you're not controlling the temperature, and so. But it's burning alcohol. It's literally real deal alcohol. It'll burn the flame. So
Wow.
all the
Yeah.
people in there think they're chemists. You know, they come up with the best way to make it in there, and so it's just a funny thing. But that's
Well,
why.
hey, man, there's smart people everywhere,
Yes, it is.
so that's kind of cool. I like the ingenuity there.
You know, when I first saw it, they kept telling me about it, and I'm like, I want to see this. But I'll tell you what, I saw it blow up too. The bags blow
Oh,
up, and
really?
people get scalded from it, from where they ain't got enough air coming out of it, or just both of them combined blow up too tight, because they're both hot. I mean, whatever degrees it is boiling, so you can imagine you'll
Right.
hear it. But it's
Right,
the
because y'all don't, because there wasn't a way to really cool that and condense it back like we do with
the
our worm and all that stuff.
No, the only way really is to have a fan blowing on it with like an ice rag. If you're somewhere that you get ice, you don't always get ice, but it's pretty cool how people come up with that in there and saw it. And I'm sure somebody's granddaddy probably made moonshine and they watched them, or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of funny. So everybody in there likes moonshiners. That's a big show.
Well, dude, it's a lot of fun. I learned this about that show. Hillbilly means a genius in overalls with a spit cup.
Without a doubt. My granddaddy could fix anything in the world with a little or nothing. That's what his deal was. He was just backwood country man. He could fix anything, man.
Isn't that amazing?
It
Isn't that
is.
amazing, dude?
In today's world, these kids today, they couldn't fix nothing with $1,000 worth of tools. You know, they
Yeah,
wouldn't
oh
even know
yeah,
where.
no lie, man. No lie. Well, I'll say this about cars too, though. These days they're harder to work on.
Man, I don't work on them. I'm not a mechanic. That's not
Yeah,
my thing.
when I was a teenager and had my 1962 Ford Falcon, if it needed a hose change, you could do that. You open the hood, you could see the ground down there. There's
Yeah.
room to do. Man, you look in it now, it's like dang robot guts or something.
So I saw the thing with Jelly Roll. So do you have I guess you have your line of moonshine now too, huh?
Yeah, yeah, it is KillerBeaz Appalachian Ambrosia. And it is actually available at moonshineinternational.com.
No kidding. So then now they got a .com for moonshine, huh?
Right, right. And so this particular product is for the female demographic. It's a chick drink,
Yeah.
if you will. It's relatively low proof. It's only 70 proof, and it's real fruity. It tastes kind of like the old Dreamsicle ice cream, the orange sherbet with the vanilla. It
Okay.
tastes kind of like that, but it was fun doing it, man. Corporate and I went on tour, and we took our base ingredients with us and had people that we know around the country either come to our hotel or we either go to their house or whatever. And we had to do calculators and measuring cups and notepads, and we would actually mix different versions and pass it around and make notes on people's reactions. So we did that for several months, and then finally came up with the actual recipe that we wanted, and it was really really good, man. And so we made the deal with the distillery, and so what you have to do is to get your license with the feds is you have to send your recipe in to start with. We had to send a sample describing the entire recipe. And so they go over that, and then they will okay it or kick it out for whatever reason. So we got that okay. But then, Dane, you have to submit your label so that they can, make sure you don't say stupid stuff or whatever. But I say stupid stuff. So on my label, I had she shed approved. And then I put not your nana's moonshine. It's my party. I'll shine if I want to. Enhance your dance. I also put shake vigorously, then in quotations, the jar. And then, and then lastly, I put makes 30% of husbands look hot again. And the feds, Dane, kicked my label out denied my label and scolded me and told me, you can't prove it makes 30% of husbands look hot again.
Are you
So,
kidding me?
no, I'm serious. I had to actually move that, I had to take that line off of my label. So evidently it was some lady whose husband was 45% ugly
Yeah, she
that
wasn't taking
was
a chance.
melancholy. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but isn't that nuts? They
that is nuts.
actually did that.
That's the things that people don't think about when it comes into stuff like that. You know, the labor load has to be if it is.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah. I had
insane
no
to me.
idea.
No, you know they'll let them make all these drugs killing people, but you got to make your label right on. That's just insane to me. It's a trip,
Yeah.
and that's a. So let me ask you, okay, how many years you said you've been doing it? 40 years on tour, right?
42 years. Yeah.
How many shows you do a year?
Wow. Not as many now because I'm lucky enough that I can go in and do theaters,
Okay,
and do one show as opposed to a week's worth at a comedy club, but thousands and thousands throughout the years. I probably do at least 100 dates a year now, I would bet.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, we uh,
yeah,
we work a lot. It's a joy for one thing, and I'm finally getting kind of good at it. So, and once again, man, it's my life's work, and I absolutely love it. It really, really is fun to me to help people laugh and smile, and to bring them that hour worth of levity.
yeah.
And it's not an offensive act either. I've never been one of the comics that believes in, if you're not offending people, you're not doing your job. I
Yeah,
don't think we need to offend people. I don't think and this is just my opinion, obviously, but I don't think the comedy stage is a soapbox to complain and to tell people what they're doing wrong.
yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I know my wife saw you and she said you was amazing. I bet it was, you said that about when you saw Digger 20 years ago. I bet it was that show at Zany's probably that she
Maybe,
saw.
man. I've done more shows at Zany's in Nashville than anybody in the history of that showroom.
No
So
kidding.
I've done thousands there. Oh yeah.
Do the same people own these comedy clubs all over the United States, or is it
Not
different?
now. There are some that may own a piece of Funny Bones Inc. The Zany's people, they were at one time owned by the same person, but now they're owned by just the ones, and I think there are only two left:
Oh no.
Chicago, downtown Chicago, and then Nashville.
Oh, no
But
kidding.
yeah, but they have they all have their own owners, and the Dorfmans have Zany's Nashville. Zany's brought me to Nashville and managed me for years. That's how I got there. They brought me up from Jackson, Mississippi, and so that's where I popped because I did man back then there TNN and CMT, all these cable TV outlets. I did like 100 appearances on that stuff,
Yeah.
and Nashville embraced me. That was way back then, and even today when you start getting some traction as a stand up, the next move is to go to New York or Los Angeles. That's the way it was back in the day,
Hmm.
because that's where TV was and that sort of stuff. But I went to Nashville instead because they made movies there. There was already national TV. There were record deals. Hendrix recorded there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a legit showbiz town, and they didn't discriminate or judge me because of my accent. See, that's the big deal there. If I'd have gone to LA or New York, I'd have been in a line a mile long,
Yeah.
with people trying to avoid the hillbilly.
Yeah.
So Nashville was really, really a good move for me. So that
You know, people
served me really well.
people think of Nashville as being a country music town, but it's so much more, man. It
Oh
is so
yeah,
much
it
more
is.
here. I
Oh yeah,
remember I remember when I was a kid, like Franklin is where I grew up at. I'm sure you know where Franklin is.
yeah, yeah.
And the old Franklin, and then everything changed. But there's so many more people, man. All kind of rock music. I mean, just everybody there now.
Oh yeah, and it's a neat dynamic because your waiter at Buffalo Wild Wings, there's a chance that he is a virtuoso player.
Yep. Yep.
There's all these cats that have their side jobs, because showbiz is tough making a day-to-day living.
It
And
is.
so that's one of the cool things that we love about Nashville
Yeah, it's a
is
cool
that
town, man.
yeah, I tell you what though, there's a lot of people there now.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Tons, man.
We talk about it, and trust me, my wife has road rage, and we hear about it, and I hear about it all day, every day. Just a while ago, as a matter of fact, these truckers, man, I understand it on one hand, driving in trucks, that could be a pain in the butt, you know what I mean? But when you're running people off the road stuff, we need to calm down a little bit. But it's the traffic, man. It don't
Yeah.
matter what time of the day or where you go in this town, you're going to hit traffic. It's just how it is. And Jelly Roll did a thing about it. He did a little bit of a video and said, "Where did all you people come from? Go back to wherever you come from." And it was funny, a funny little thing. But it started about, I'll say, 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer.
Right.
I know at the height of COVID, there were 750 people on average moving to Nashville a week at that time,
Wow.
and the now everywhere that used to be just like buildings and this kind of stuff now are these what we call tall and skinny. These homes that they build real skinny but real
Yeah.
tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Yeah. We're
started all
seeing
that.
that. We're seeing that in other parts of the country as well.
I figured it started somewhere else and worked its way here because a lot of times Tennessee's kind of behind a little bit on the times.
Well, you're talking to a guy who's in Alabama.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alabama, yeah. Roll Tide.
So,
I'm an Alabama fan now. I like Alabama.
dude,
I'm a
I don't
huge.
know what we're going to do without Saban.
We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. I like this guy they got. I think we're gonna be all right. Everybody's kind of panicking. I know this: if he can come out this year and do well, then everybody will start believing in him. You know what I mean? But he's done well everywhere else he's been.
Well, I tell you what, man, what a great place to go prove yourself, huh?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the biggest stage it is in college football, that's for sure. Nick Saban was a lot like Bear Bryant. That's the thing about him, and that's why I think he was so successful.
And why is that? And what
Because
way?
Bear Bryant was tough, and he wanted them to be
Oh,
good men, and he wanted them to be good men. It wasn't just about playing football; it was about
that's
being.
right. And they want their players to be good men as well.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. You see when he said whenever they lost that game, he was very disappointed in the way they acted and threw their helmets and all that stuff. He said, "We don't act that way. That's not who we are. We win in a certain way and we lose a certain way." And so you had to respect the man for that. He's a godly man
Yeah.
too. You
Yeah.
know, he's like the rest of us. He cussed a little bit here or there, but who don't? And you get mad and all them kind of things. But yeah, roll tide, man. My wife is actually a Tennessee fan, so it makes an interesting dynamic in our home. But it's kind of a funny thing. Did you ever think about giving comedy up? Was that ever an option?
um, Not really, because I know how to do this better than anything else that I do.
Yeah.
I guess because got so many years into it and stuff. I get fatigued more easy this days touring just because I've been at it for so long. But man, it gives me so much joy. It's a it's very challenging to do, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing it fairly well.
Yeah.
I'm not the best out there by any shot, but I do, I've got a handle on it, and it's a tough art form, and I'm just so tickled to be able to do it. And it's a low impact career.
Okay.
If I'd been roofing houses and climbing ladders with shingles on my shoulders for the past 42 years, I
Yeah.
would
You
I
wouldn't still be
wouldn't
doing
do
it.
it. Yeah, I wouldn't still be doing it. But
Man,
it's very rewarding to me. And especially now that I have changed my life some years back, now it's even more important to me to go do it well and to set the example that I
right.
need to set. So that's important too.
Do you
So
write
it
your
kind
own?
of gives me uh, a lot of reach to share with people what God's done for me.
There it is. That's the key
So
right there. What God's done for you. That's the stage that I think He wants us on. Just like
yeah,
me. I won't never be on a stage like you, but people that know me will listen to me, and that's the main thing I want them to get out is that, hey man, it's
well,
not me, it's God.
and people that don't know you will hear you as well.
Yeah,
That's another revelation is that people see us. They may not even know who we are, but we set examples by merely taking that grocery cart back to the rack it's supposed to be in,
there you
or
go.
letting somebody into traffic, man. Or just getting the door for somebody.
Yeah.
So there's examples that we can set,
Ev-
just every day, almost all day long. And
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah. A guy that I had done a show with yesterday, he's an author. He wrote a book about love, and that's what he's talking about. He come up with this little game like thing, and you basically roll a dice, and that's going to be the love language for you that day. And that's what he was
Oh,
talking
that's
about. How,
funny.
yeah, it's a pretty cool little thing. And he was talking about how we incorporate in our everyday life, even when somebody's not looking, kind of deal. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
that's how we're supposed to be, because a lot of times, even when you don't think someone's looking, they are, and they're paying attention. And that's the example that we want to set. There's a lot of bad in the world today, and they need more good, and that's for sure. And I applaud you for what you're doing. Do you write your own material?
Oh, yeah.
Always have.
I always have, man. And that's a lot of fun too. I love telling stories. If people have not seen my act, I'm a storyteller. And I try to put lots of punchlines in there. And I like an interesting turn of the phrase.
Right.
I read a lot growing up. So I'm a pretty decent wordsmith. And I like
Okay.
saying things in ways that are unique and that will paint a picture in people's heads. That's what I try to do. I try to put little movie clips in
Right.
people's heads so that they can. Um, the most meaningful thing to them. Back when I was a
Right.
prop act, I learned that if I held a rubber fish up while I'm doing a bit about fishing, what the audience would get would be that rubber fish. But if I wordsmithed it and used body language and delivery, they're going to see the most important picture of a fish that is in their brains. The one that they just caught or the one their kid caught, and that way it makes it more personal to them.
Right.
So that's what I try to do. I try to shape things so that they are reaching into their memory banks and experiencing it instead of just my take on it.
Right.
So that's kind of something I like to do. And there's fun mechanics on stage.
Right.
When you're on stages, man, a lot of times the lighting isn't uniform. There'll be hotter spots and a little bit darker spots,
Okay.
and I like to be in the little bit darker as I do the setup and premise for a bit. And then as I reveal the punchline, I like to kind of walk into the light. And that way, subconsciously, they're being enlightened with my image because suddenly it's brighter to them at the same time that they're getting what the gist of the story is. So I like to do
Right.
those kind of little tricks and stuff. So it's really neat.
Yeah. I could
It's
imagine, man. I could imagine. I've thought about it this all week long, like what it would be like to do that. And for one,
it's it's terrifying.
that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say, because you take, okay, like a musician or something. They got other people up there with them. You're a solo man act. You're up there all by yourself, and all eyes without a doubt are on you. And so I could imagine the feeling of it. Do you still
Well,
get nervous?
oh yeah, yeah. I don't get scared, nervous like I used to get, but I still get amped up, man. And I get when my intro starts, then I've kind of got direction for all my adrenaline, But until then, man, all my molecules are trying to run off in different directions and
Yeah.
whatnot. And here's one of the dynamics about it is the stuff that we're telling people we believe in our heart that they are going to love it. They're going to laugh their brains out. And then when you deliver a bit and it doesn't work, dude, it's a personal
Oh,
thing.
I
I
bet
mean,
it
you're
is.
embarrassed because this is something that you believed in, and evidently you were stupider than you realized.
Yeah, I
But
could.
that's where the hurt comes in, not just that they didn't laugh, but that you were betting on them laughing.
Right. It was
So
personal. It's personal for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Whenever they don't laugh, do you try it again at another time, like at another show, or is it over
Yeah,
with?
lots of times. Well, when they don't laugh, you got to analyze why.
Okay.
They say that it's never the audience's fault, but sometimes it's the audience.
Yeah, I would
but
say, yeah.
but mainly when something doesn't work, it wasn't delivered correctly. I mean, it is. You could just take the last two words of a sentence and flip flop them and make all the difference in the world. Get a huge laugh or silence. I
Right.
mean, it's really a craft as far as the right words in the right order, and then don't step on the laugh. So it's a,
Yeah,
it's a work. It's always a work on just how to wordsmith it. So when you're doing a new bit and it doesn't go over as big as you wanted to, um, a lot of times you can change it and beef it up by just thinking of how you presented it, what words you use first, and so because it's very fragile like that. I mean, you
yeah,
can, like I said, you can just mix two words and kill or create a good bit. And I
yeah,
take it personal. I shouldn't, but
yeah.
when people aren't laughing, it bugs me. I was doing a show in Zanies, and that Zany down on 8th Avenue, sold out room, balcony full, everybody's rolling, screaming, yeah, yeah. But there's one guy, Dane, right out there in the middle, just looking, not
Oh,
laughing. I'm like, oh my God. And I could see him,
yeah.
So, buddy, I'm just, yeah, man, I'm just hammering. I'm doing my bit straight to him, I'm just, wow. And I never got him. He never busted that laugh. I'm like, wow. So get done, great show, big ovation. I go to the green room. I mean, everybody's like, "Beaz, good show, real show. It wasn't a good show. That guy wasn't." They go, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Man, there was a guy that wasn't laughing." They're going, "You're telling us that you're upset because a person, and
Yeah.
they're still out there cheering." And there's a knock on the door to the green room. I open it, Dane. It was that guy.
Oh
And
God.
he has this weird accent. I can't do accents, but he told me, he goes, "You were great. I am from France. I could not understand, but thank you." And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was a Frenchman,
Yeah.
and people need to be from the States. They need to be in our culture, to
Without a doubt.
really
Yeah.
get into it. But that was, everybody just laughed their brains out.
I bet that was a funny moment, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that
So
just goes. That's kind of like one of them things. Things ain't always as they seem to us, in our head. But I couldn't imagine, man. Doing that, putting all the work that I'm sure you have to put into it. I'm sure it
mm,
goes into however long, and then doing that. I'd see me being the same way because I'm hard on myself anyway.
right,
I'm
right.
kind of one of them guys. I'm like, I want to critique everything and all that. So it'd be tough. It'd be a tough. But you see, when you talk about all the joy, man, that what it tells me is that you're definitely doing what you're supposed to be doing, because
Oh, I agree, man.
that's what we're supposed to be doing in life, no matter what it is. If you clean homes for a living, but you find joy in that, that's what you're supposed to be doing. I read a book about that a long time ago, talking about whatever you truly find joy in. But if you wake up every day and you hate what you're doing, man, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, change it, do something different. Um, I could imagine how many people you've made laugh over the years, and that's a good thing, man, because we all need it. There's been times in my life when things were pretty dark, and with just a good little laugh, man, it could change the whole everything.
Oh, I get it, man. And here's the cool part. We have that power. We can change our mood. I mean, we don't have to make light of things happening, but we can change our mood. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I have from my spiritual life. We can control our minds if we're just willing to.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If we're willing to, man, that's what it's all about. It's the same thing with anything in life. I relate mine to addiction a lot, but that's just what I've lived. But it's the same thing. Like I went to treatment. I don't know, probably at least 20 times. We'll say at least, but I always went because Beth wanted me to go. My brother wanted me to go. The parole officer wanted me to go. I never went because I was willing and wanted to go until the
Gotcha.
last time. And that's what I've learned in life. Man, we got so much power inside of us if we'll just utilize it. And it's from God, of course. It's where we're getting it from. But if we'll just utilize it, it'd be amazing what we can do in life.
Yeah, I agree, man. God wants us to be successful. He wants us to be happy.
Yep.
He wants us to uh, be fruitful.
Yep.
And so to be fruitful, you got to sow. And
You
we
got to
sow
sow.
by doing acts for other people.
Yep. There it
That's
is.
a big part of it. Just right there, man. Just, a phone call that somebody that needs it. Prayer
Yep.
is real. Prayers
What?
for
Oh,
people.
man, it's
Man,
huge.
it's amazing the gift that God has given us. And that's what it is. It's a gift, man. It's
Yep.
not a labor, it's a
Nope.
gift.
That
So
it is. What kind of shows you got coming up, man? I know you're on tour again right now.
Right. Well, I'm off for my next show is Paris, Tennessee, as a
Okay.
matter of fact. And I have all those tour dates at KillerBeaz.com. That's BEAZ, because we didn't know any better. And so
Yeah.
we've got all those dates. We will be getting the new Grand Ole Opry dates coming in. They're working on those right now. And so killerbees.com and Instagram, KillerBeaz Comedy on Facebook. So we're just having a lot of fun, man, and living a good life right now and digging it.
Me and Beth's gonna get out and see you, man. One of them, we're either gonna be at the Grand Ole Opry or Paris. We've been talking about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, let's stay in touch, man. That'd be
I definitely
awesome.
will. I definitely will. I got your email and all that. I want to thank you again, my friend. I'll let you
Dude,
go.
thank you,
I
brother.
know you've been a busy man. I appreciate you taking out the time, man, for little old me. I do appreciate it.
My
It's been a
pleasure,
blessing.
dude. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, man. You have a good day and stay blessed, my friend.
All right, Dane. Take care,
All
brother.
right. All right, man. See you, man.